Hey witches, welcome and happy Wednesday. Today is going to be our very first video exploring the runes in depth. If you missed my previous video discussing how to cast runes and a short little condensed history on the runes, and of course how to use them in spell work, just visit that link right up there and that'll give you a quick little introduction. But for today, we're going to start with the first letter of the Elder Futhark alphabet, Fehu. In its most basic terms, it often symbolizes wealth, growth, luck, and love. Or love, I guess I should say. But I like that we're starting with this one because it is a manifestation of productive energy. So translating it directly, the word Fehu actually means cattle. Now, when interpreting this rune, you have to realize that the early Indo-Europeans, for them, they were cattle cultures. Cattle was a currency and it represented wealth to them. Dairy was a massive staple in their diet, and if one of their cows was ill, they couldn't keep it around any longer. It was often sacrificed to the gods or to the people for eating. That's how important they were. They would even keep their most prized cattle in the communal longhouse throughout winter. So when you think about wealth, you may not think cattle, and that may seem like a really weird definition for this rune, but that's why. Because for these peoples who used Elder Futhark as a language, that is what wealth meant to them. It was cattle. Now, when we talk about the runes, each one stands for a force of nature. And for us, when we think of wealth, we mostly just kind of think about money, material items. But we also have to stop and think about what money enables for us, ways in which it can both benefit and detract from our lives. And sometimes it can come and go with absolutely no doing on your part. I'm sure we've all been in a situation where you've done absolutely nothing wrong and just something happens, you blow a tire on the freeway, and suddenly you have to pay for repairs and a new tire, maybe a tow, and boom, that's money gone. Or maybe you randomly win a sweepstakes or get a huge promotion at work that you didn't see coming whatsoever. So when we think about cattle as a representation of wealth and as a natural force, it makes a lot of sense when you consider the fact that not only could these early peoples transfer their cattle, they could give their cattle away to receive something else, but those cattle could also literally move around on their own. But let's look at the positives and the negatives of this, because the Norse and Germanic peoples were well aware that wealth was not always a good thing. It could often be a source of troubles, especially amongst relatives. In Germanic poetry and literature, they regard wealth as not being something to hoard, but you should guard it. One should always be aware of how easily it can be lost. They might have bred the cattle and raised the cattle, fed the cattle, but they were well aware that they didn't create the cattle. In fact, in Norse mythology, all of creation came from one source, and that source was a cow. So cattle to them, and therefore wealth to us, is not necessarily ours. It is only loaned to us in order for us to use it productively. Not just for ourselves, but also to help other people. It was meant to be shared because they believed that true wealth, absolute true wealth, was a part of the soul. It was held in the soul, and you got it from a well-lived life. So while this rune commonly means wealth in our contemporary standards, like I said, it also stands for luck, love, and growth. Growth is a big one here. Often it stands for wealth, which grows when cared for, when invested wisely. But given the right context of question, it could be warning you to conserve the resources you already have. But this rune is always associated with productivity. Just like I said, the context may vary, because money aside, depending on your question and the way that you're spreading it out, it could mean spiritual growth, it could mean creative inspiration, it could mean fertility. If surrounded by runes of warning in a reading, it could be cautioning you to conserve either your money, your time, your emotional, physical, mental strengths, or it could suggest that poverty is on the horizon. If you're going to use this in a spell, make sure you specify what kind of prosperity and growth you are looking for. Because to one person, being wealthy may mean money, and to another, it may mean, well, I've always wanted to be a family. To me, wealth isn't having a big, loving family, but maybe you're not looking to have babies yet. You don't want to ask for abundance and then have like a pack of stray dogs show up on your porch, or it just starts raining and it won't stop raining because you got an abundance of rain. So just be very specific. But this is a great rune to be used in a lot of different spell work. You can carve it into candles for things, maybe if you're doing a money spell, or paint it inside of your wallet, paint it onto a rose quartz, and maybe maybe like tuck it near your bed if you're looking to have a baby. Draw it in the soil while you're gardening. But for the most part, you can't go wrong with Fehu because it is widely considered a fortune rune. That concludes our first rune definition video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I also highly encourage you to look up pretty much any books by Diana Paxson. She is very well versed on her runes. As always, hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button if you would like more, and the little bell that pops up next to it so you get notifications. And of course, always you can email me or hit me up on Instagram. My next rune video will be out next Wednesday. The link to the original video is down below in the description box, and that video also has links to all the rune videos, although I am compiling a playlist as these come out, so you should be able to find all of them in one place. And of course, this Sunday I will have another video on a completely different non-rune related topic. So I will see you all then. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.